of questions. It was hurtful what was said. The situation was concerning, and after taking into account everything, I delivered accountability. A demotion and a loss of wages is not an easy thing for an administrator. I will have the principal report to 54 Meadow Street when school reopens to continue training, and in the meantime, figure out what else we'll have her do at the central office. I'm going to read a letter dated March 29, 21, from the principal. Brendan Rogers has been engaged all year with anti-bias, anti-racism work as a school. There were 2 teachers and myself. We have been attending the Delt District workshops. We have a committee that engages the staff in professional development so we can personally understand our biases and to better move the school forward with policies and protocols that will benefit our staff and students. The work has been challenging and difficult, but necessary if we want to move our school forward and better serve our students. On March 8, I walked into 2 teachers' offices, and I walked into an office where 2 teachers were present. We were discussing students. Upon completion of the conversation, a teacher was discussing the DELT meeting that we attended. She asked what I thought of it. I stated I thought it was good. I proceeded to ask her the term whiteness, and I wasn't understanding it and was taking it personal. She explained it to me, and I said thank you. The conversation went on, and I stated something to the effect that if I said blacks or the N-word, we would have an issue with it. That was the end of the conversation. March 18th, the assistant principal came to my office and stated that the 2 teachers came to her not knowing how to approach me on the conversation that we had on March 16th. She stated they told her I said the N-word. I was disgusted and horrified that the word came out of my mouth. I told her I would be willing to speak with them. They came into my office later that morning to discuss. I apologized to them and stated that it was not my intent to hurt them or make them feel uncomfortable. I stated that I understand it was a conversation. Pardon me. I stated that I understand it is not the intent, but how it made them feel. I thanked them for coming to me and having a conversation on the harm that I caused to them, that I was hopeful that we could move forward in our school work. March 25th, I received a call from the SAA union president regarding a teachers union complaint. She asked if the assistant union person from the union had spoken to me. I spoke with the person and explained the situation when he stated there was a racial incentive claim brought against me. I told him I had a conversation with the 2 teachers on Thursday, March 18th, and that we had a lengthy conversation, and I apologized for the statement for offending them. The union person stated he wanted to speak to the complainants to let them know that my door was open and I was willing to have a conversation. I offered to them that the union should be present in the conversation. I spoke to my SAA union president after my conversation with the SAA union person, and she stated that I might want to mention to the assistant superintendent, Hannans. I sent her a message that evening and asked if I could speak to her. The assistant superintendent came to Brendan Rogers the next morning. March 26, 2021, I met with the assistant superintendent asking for her advice on how to repair the harm so I could move forward and try to regain the trust that I had damaged. I reiterated what happened in the meeting on March 16 and March 18th and never used a racial slur in her presence. She stated that she needed to get some direction on how to proceed, and she would get back to me at the end of Friday or Monday. I do not want anyone else defending me or trying to justify the disgusting thing I said. I realize I did something wrong, and I understand there have to be consequences. I wish I could take it back and find a logical reason that it came out of my mouth. I want you to know that I'm horrified, disgusted, and embarrassed. I don't speak this way, and although this comment was not calculated, I know that doesn't take away the harm that I caused to those involved. I need to take action for my insensitive comments. I would like to offer an apology and ask for forgiveness for my inexcusable behavior. I completely understand that this insensitive behavior comes with consequences. I offer my more than satisfactory record of 20 years of service in New Haven Public Schools as evidence that this ignorant comment doesn't define who I am as a person, educator, or human being. In order to move forward and begin to help repair the harm, I will be engaging in some counseling to assist in processing why I would say such a hurtful thing and to ensure that it will never happen again. With the support of the Employee Assistance Program, EAP, I will work on understanding why I said this, how to better communicate in the future, and to learn how to repair the harm that I have caused in the working environment. I want to bring trust back to my school community and to those that I have harmed. I do not think nor do I speak this way and want to truly understand why I spoke in this manner. I'm looking forward to unpacking with a counselor why this was said and what I could do to repair the harm that was caused. Along with EAP, I'll be reading the book White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. This was signed by the principal. I also have copies for you. And when you read those, the executive summary that was given from the investigation, you will see that I have taken action that I believe as a superintendent is fair, action to be taken. Had the principal said the word directly to an individual, like calling the individual a word, it would have been a different story. But it was said in a context. I'm not here taking up for her, because as a superintendent, I have to be fair. I have to also understand that there were individuals in this situation that felt that they were harmed, and I want to validate their concerns about being harmed, because as a black superintendent, that word sends a lot of emotion for us as a people in different directions. Thank you. I will now share the statements with you. I have copies for everyone, the executive summary that I said I was, Emily, you got that already? Emily, I sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The moment I released it to the board, I also released it to you. Okay. Thank you so much.
So that's the
Yeah,
summary of the investigation?
Investigative report, yeah, and the principal's information, sorry.
And may we ask some questions of you?
I will answer what I can.
Can you say what
Could you
role
take this?
she will hold when she's reassigned?
As I preface my statement, that is something to be determined.
Can you just walk up to the microphone and just say that?
Hold on. Who didn't get one?
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Did you get one?
Okay, class, you can do this.
Put that right there. Sorry, we're late.
Earlier today, there was a group of folks who first came by here and then out to Lighthouse Point Park who were hoping to talk to you about this, who have been complaining, a group of church folks and elders who were upset with how, with what they call a lack of openness in this process and how long it took for you to come out with this report. Do you have any comment about that?
First of all, an internal investigation of any of my staff members is not supposed to be dealt with in public. That's personnel matter. When we were satisfied that things were done and that our T's were crossed and our I's were dotted, and when I reported to the board, usually the board does not act on those types of transfer. The board would have acted if I had presented the person to be terminated. That's our policy. This was saying that this person will be transferred. That was what that board information was all about. So it takes on a whole different twist because the principal asked that it be discussed in public, which is in private, which is her right. And so it took on a whole different twist.
So So you're saying that you wanted to make sure all I's were dotted, T's were crossed, and this was a personnel matter?
Yes. This was a personnel matter that the superintendent, that I, as the superintendent, addressed, and working with lawyers on both sides. Person belongs to a union. We work with the lawyers on both sides, and I meted out the consequence that I did.
Can you explain a little bit about why the report is released today versus earlier when people were calling for it? Did it take time to process?
Because, no, it's not a matter of time. It was there. I just don't think someone should be pressured in releasing report. And so, this is when the board asked for it, a board member, I should say, asked for it, and I'm releasing it now. It's not like anything was covered up or behind the scenes, because I know that once I put it on the blue sheet to be a transfer, the board actually knew about it before, 4 months before, when that whole, and Emily, you have articles in that was 4 months ago, and everyone was told that it's under investigation.
Superintendent, just to confirm, so Ms. Robley has not been assigned anywhere yet, but the process has started to get her somewhere else?
The thinking right now, from my perspective, is with all that is going on and with folks indicating that they were hurt, I have to acknowledge their feelings as a superintendent, so I'm not putting that under the rug. So the thinking that I have right now is that the best thing is to assign her to some role at central office, which we have not yet determined. I have to see what her resume state, what other skill sets that she has that could fit into something here at central office. That also has not been presented to the board yet as to where her assignment would be.
Any timeline on when we possibly could see where that ends up, or?
But right now, it's vacation time. And right now, she would have been a 12-month employee. She's now a 10-month employee. So she has her vacation time, which is not being paid for as normally a 12-month person would be paid. And I must say that for someone to come in and crash my meeting with my staff was very disrespectful. I'm going to say that publicly. That was disrespectful. I'm having a meeting with my staff, which is part of our wellness activities. If we do it for teachers and students, then we do it for the administrators too. This is the end of the term for all administrators. We were having something to just let them let off, because they've gone through a lot during this COVID. And that was what someone found somewhat offensive. I'm getting text messages that we're using the district's money to pay administrators to do nothing. That is so sad a comment, I think.
Are you talking about the lighthouse?
The lighthouse situation today. That was my superintendent's end-of-year meeting, which we do all the time. I had where I spoke to them, commended those, acknowledged all those who were retiring, and we had a great time, and we were finishing up. And they were doing some games as part of letting off the catharsis that's been built up all year for them as administrators.
Dr. Tracy, after you met with the lawyers and the union, were there any other avenues that were presented to you that you could have pursued other than demotion? Or is that kind of it?
No, that would be my decision as to what I determined to do. And working with the SAA union and what have you, that was the most amicable situation to come up with.
Are there any additional resources you're planning to go to the school to, help students who have heard about the controversy and are, feeling many ways about it? Do you have any thoughts on what will happen next for them?
So right now, school is closed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have things in the works to do with those who were harmed. Some things are being planned right now to do with those who were harmed, and I must say, were a part of the whole situation. First of all, I didn't hear about anyone being harmed until after a decision was made. So, but because I hear of that, I'm going to address that. I have the right to address that.
Can you give a little bit more details about how you're going to address that?
So we have someone we're consulting who is more objective in this situation to take on that of having conversation with the assistant principal. I myself will have conversation with the assistant principal and the two teachers in particular, and then we'll work out a plan for how we'll address the entire staff, and move from there.
Anything extra for students?
And students.
And students.
Were you all surprised when you heard that the situation resulted in teachers feeling harmed?
So initially, I didn't hear anything about people being harmed until action was taken. But now that they're saying that they feel harmed and feel hurt, then I will address it. As I say, you have to validate people's feelings. It's their feelings, so that's how they feel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.